I was standing in the lobby of Hargrove and Associates, adjusting my tie for the 5th time in 2 minutes, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mama. "Baby, your auntie's so proud of you. She been telling everybody about your new job." I smiled, slipping my phone back into my pocket. Aunt Cheryl had always been my biggest cheerleader. When I graduated from Howard, she threw me a party bigger than my actual graduation. When I got my MBA, she made a banner that said, "That's my nephew," and hung it on her porch for 3 weeks. The woman was extra, but she meant well. What I didn't know that Monday morning, as I walked into my first day as senior marketing director, was that Aunt Cheryl's pride was about to become my worst nightmare. My name is Devin Wright, and this is the story of how my aunt almost destroyed my career, my dignity, and my ability to show my face at the office Christmas party. The morning started perfect. I mean, picture perfect. I walked through those glass doors wearing my best charcoal suit, the one I'd been saving for 3 months. My shoes were so shiny I could see my reflection. I had my leather portfolio under my arm, the one with my initials embossed on the front. I felt like Denzel in that movie where he plays the important guy who wears suits and knows things. The receptionist, a young sister named Keisha, with box braids down to her waist, looked up and smiled. "You must be Devin Wright. Mr. Hargrove is expecting you. 10th floor, corner office." I thanked her and headed to the elevator, trying to keep my cool. This was it. After years of grinding, working late nights, taking on projects nobody else wanted, I'd finally made it to the big leagues. Hargrove and Associates was one of the top marketing firms in Atlanta. Getting hired here meant I'd arrived. The elevator dinged, and I stepped out onto the 10th floor. Everything was sleek and modern, all glass and chrome with African art on the walls. I could see myself working here for the next 20 years, climbing that corporate ladder until I had my own corner office with a view of the city. Devin Wright? I turned to see a tall, imposing man in his late 50s walking toward me. This was Richard Hargrove, the founder and CEO. The man was a legend in the marketing world. He'd built campaigns for everyone from Coca-Cola to Nike. Working for him was like playing basketball for Phil Jackson. "Yes, sir. It's an honor to meet you." We shook hands. His grip was firm, professional. "Welcome to the team. I've heard great things about your work. That campaign you did for Bronson Electronics? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant." "Thank you, sir. I'm excited to bring that same energy here." He nodded approvingly and gestured down the hall. "Let me show you to your office, and then we'll do a quick tour. I want you to meet the team." My office was everything I dreamed of. Big desk, comfortable chair, windows overlooking Peachtree Street. There was even a small couch in the corner for those late-night brainstorming sessions. I set down my portfolio and took a moment to breathe it all in. This was real. This was happening. Little Devin Wright from College Park, the kid who used to practice business presentations in the mirror, was now a senior marketing director at one of Atlanta's premier firms. Mr. Hargrove introduced me to the team. There was Patricia, the creative director, a sharp sister in her 40s who looked like she didn't tolerate nonsense. There was James, the senior account manager, a brother who gave me a solid handshake and a knowing nod. There was Rachel, the digital marketing specialist, who seemed friendly enough. And then there was Vanessa. Vanessa Coleman was the VP of Client Relations, and the moment I saw her, I knew I was in trouble. Not the bad kind of trouble, but the kind where you suddenly forget how to form complete sentences. She was stunning, with natural hair styled in an elegant twist-out, wearing a burgundy pantsuit that screamed confidence and class. "Welcome to the team, Devin," she said, extending her hand. "I've heard impressive things about you. Thank you. I hope I can live up to the hype." She smiled. "I'm sure you will. We're having a welcome mixer for you this Friday. Nothing too formal, just drinks and appetizers so everyone can get to know you better." "Sounds great." As she walked away, James leaned over and whispered, "Man, don't even think about it. She's way out of your league." "I wasn't thinking about anything," I protested. "Sure you weren't. I saw that look. That's the same look I had when I first met her. 2 years later, I'm still shooting my shot and missing." We both laughed. But deep down, I knew James was right. Vanessa was the kind of woman who probably dated doctors and lawyers, not some guy on his first day trying not to sweat through his dress shirt. The rest of Monday went smooth. I settled into my office, reviewed some client files, and started getting familiar with the company's current campaigns. By the time I left at 6, I was feeling good, confident, ready to take on the world. I called my mama on the drive home. "Hey baby, how was your first day?" "It was perfect, mama. Everything I hoped for and more." "That's wonderful. Your daddy would be so proud." My father had passed away when I was 19, right before I started college. He'd been a postal worker his whole life, but he always told me to dream bigger, to reach higher. This job was for him as much as it was for me. "Thanks, mama. Hey, has Aunt Cheryl been calling you? She sent me a text this morning." My mother laughed. "Baby, your aunt has been calling everybody. She told the lady at the grocery store, the man who cuts her grass, and I'm pretty sure she told the Jehovah's Witnesses who came to her door last week." "That sounds like Aunt Cheryl. You know she loves you. She's just excited." We talked for a few more minutes before I hung up and pulled into my apartment complex. I lived in a decent one-bedroom in Midtown, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I'd worked hard to afford it, and every time I walked through that door, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I heated up some leftover chicken and rice, put on SportsCenter, and started planning my week. I had my first big presentation on Friday, right before the welcome mixer. I wanted to come out strong, show Mr. Hargrove and the team that hiring me wasn't a mistake. That's when my phone rang. It was Aunt Cheryl. "Devin, baby, how was your first day?" "It was great, Auntie. Everything went smooth." "Oh, I'm so happy for you. You know, I was just telling Mrs. Patterson from church about your new job. She said her grandson is looking for work. And I told her, well, my nephew just became a director at one of the biggest firms in Atlanta." I smiled. "Auntie, I appreciate you spreading the word, but you don't have to tell everybody." "Why not? I'm proud of you. You worked hard for this." "I know, but I want to prove myself first before we make it a big thing." "Baby, you already proved yourself. They hired you, didn't they? That means you're qualified. Don't let them make you feel like you got to work twice as hard just to be seen as equal." Aunt Cheryl always knew how to cut through the noise and speak truth. She'd been that way my whole life. When I was struggling in college, she was the one who reminded me that I belonged there. When I didn't get my first choice job after graduation, she was the one who told me it was just redirection, not rejection. "You're right, Auntie. Thanks for the reminder." "You're welcome, baby. Now, when can I come visit your new office? Let me get settled in first. Maybe in a few weeks?" Okay. I won't rush you, but I'm coming. I want to see where my successful nephew works." We said our goodbyes, and I went back to my chicken and rice, feeling grateful for family like her. The rest of the week flew by. Tuesday and Wednesday were filled with meetings, client calls, and getting up to speed on current projects. Thursday, I stayed late to prepare for my Friday presentation. I wanted everything to be perfect, every slide polished, every talking point rehearsed. By Thursday night, I was ready. My presentation was tight, my confidence was high, and I'd even picked out my best Navy suit for the occasion. Friday morning, I woke up early, hit the gym, and got to the office by 8. The presentation wasn't until 2, but I wanted to run through it one more time, make sure I had everything down. At 1:30, I was in the conference room setting up the projector when Keisha from the front desk poked her head in. "Hey Devin, there's someone here to see you. I'm about to give a presentation. Can they wait?" She says she's family. "Your aunt?" My heart stopped. "My aunt is here?" "Yeah, she's in the lobby." Should I send her up? No, absolutely not. This could not be happening. Why was Aunt Cheryl at my job? I'd told her I'd arrange a visit in a few weeks. Why couldn't she wait? Tell her I'll be down in 5 minutes. I rushed to the elevator, my mind racing. What was she doing here? Did something happen? Was someone hurt? The elevator doors opened, and there she was. Aunt Cheryl, in all her glory, wearing a bright yellow church dress, a matching hat with a feather in it, and holding what looked like a photo album. Oh no, please, God, no, not the photo album. "Devin, baby." She rushed over and hugged me so tight I thought my ribs might crack. "Look at you in your fancy suit. You look just like your daddy used to look when he dressed up." "Auntie, what are you doing here? I have a presentation in 30 minutes. I know, I won't keep you long. I just wanted to drop these off." She held up the photo album, and my soul left my body. "What is that?" "Pictures from when you were little. I was going through my attic and found all these old photos of you, and I thought, I bet his new boss would love to see what a cute baby Devin was. Auntie, no. Please tell me you didn't. Didn't what? Tell me you didn't show anyone those pictures. She waved her hand dismissively. Oh, baby. I only showed a few people. That nice receptionist girl. She loved them. And Mr. Hargrove, he thought they were adorable. My blood ran cold. You showed Mr. Hargrove my baby pictures? Of course. I ran into him in the lobby, and he introduced himself. Such a nice man. Very professional. When I told him I was your aunt, he was so interested in hearing about you as a child. This wasn't happening. This could not be happening. Auntie, I need you to tell me exactly what pictures you showed him. She opened the album and started flipping through pages. Well, there's this one of you in the bathtub with your little duck toy. You were about 2 years old. Just the cutest thing. I wanted to die. Right there in the lobby of Hargrove & Associates, I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. And this one, she continued, pointing to another photo. This is you at your 5th birthday party. You wanted to be a superhero, so your mama made you a cape out of an old bed sheet. You wore it every day for a month. Auntie, please stop. And oh, this one is my favorite. This is you in middle school with your little girlfriend. What was her name? Keisha? No, Tamika. You were so in love with her. Look at your face. You look terrified. I was about to have a heart attack. A full cardiac arrest at the age of 32. Auntie, I love you, but I need you to leave right now. She looked hurt. Baby, I was just trying to help. I thought it would be nice for your coworkers to see where you came from. I appreciate that, but this is a professional environment. I can't have baby pictures floating around. Well, it's too late now. I already gave a copy to Mr. Hargrove. He said he was going to hang it in his office. I must have made a sound, because Keisha looked over from her desk with concern. Are you okay, Devin? I'm fine, I lied. Auntie, we need to talk, but not here, not now. I have a presentation. She nodded, seeming to understand the severity of the situation. Okay, baby, I'll go, but call me tonight. I want to hear how it went. She kissed my cheek, leaving a lipstick mark I'd have to wipe off, and headed for the door. I watched her yellow dress disappear through the glass entrance, and then I stood there in the lobby, contemplating my life choices. She seems nice, Keisha said. She's great. She's also going to be the reason I get fired. Keisha laughed. I don't think it's that serious. The pictures were cute. You saw them? She showed me like 15. My favorite was the one where you're dressed as a cowboy at Disney World. You had the hat, the vest, everything. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. This was fine. Everything was fine. I just had to get through this presentation, and then I could deal with the fallout from Aunt Cheryl's surprise visit. I went to the bathroom, wiped the lipstick off my face, and gave myself a pep talk in the mirror. You got this. You're a professional. You're qualified. Your baby pictures don't define you. But even as I said it, I knew I was in trouble. I walked into the conference room at exactly 2 o'clock. The entire senior staff was there. Mr. Hargrove, Patricia, James, Rachel, and Vanessa. They all looked at me expectantly. Good afternoon, everyone, I began, pulling up my first slide. Today, I want to talk about our approach to the Anderson account and how we can leverage social media to increase brand awareness. I was 3 slides in when I noticed Mr. Hargrove smiling. Not a professional smile, but the kind of smile your uncle gives you when he's about to embarrass you at Thanksgiving. Devin, before we continue, I just have to say, your aunt is delightful. The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at me. Thank you, sir. She's very enthusiastic. She showed me the most adorable pictures of you as a child. You were a cute kid. Patricia smiled. Oh, I'd love to see those. No, I said too quickly. I mean, they're not relevant to the presentation. But Mr. Hargrove was already pulling out his phone. She emailed me a few. Look at this one. Little Devin in a Superman cape. My professional career flashed before my eyes. All those years of hard work, all those late nights, all those sacrifices, and it was going to end because my aunt couldn't keep my childhood photos to herself. Patricia leaned over to look at Mr. Hargrove's phone and burst out laughing. Oh my God, that's precious. James was next. Yo, is that a cape made from a bedsheet? Can we please get back to the presentation? I pleaded. But it was too late. Vanessa had pulled out her phone too. Your aunt emailed them to the whole office. Check your inboxes. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call my mama and ask her why God was testing me like this. Rachel was scrolling through her phone, giggling. There's one here of you at prom. Your date looks terrified. That's because I stepped on her foot during the slow dance and she had to get x-rays, I muttered. The whole room erupted in laughter. Even Mr. Hargrove was chuckling, which was somehow worse than if he'd been angry. All right, he said, composing himself. Devin, continue with your presentation, but just know we're definitely bringing these up at the welcome mixer tonight. I powered through the rest of my presentation on autopilot. I hit all my points, answered all their questions, and somehow managed to not completely fall apart. But the whole time, all I could think about was those photos circulating through the office. When the presentation ended, Mr. Hargrove stood up and shook my hand. Excellent work, Devin. Really impressive. You're going to be a great asset to this team. Thank you, sir. And your aunt is invited to the mixer tonight. I already called her. She's bringing more photos. I must have looked like I was about to faint because Vanessa put a hand on my shoulder. Breathe, Devin. It's not that bad. Not that bad? My aunt showed my boss pictures of me in the bathtub. She laughed. At least you were cute. My aunt showed my college boyfriend pictures of me with my retainer and acne. You'll survive this. The mixer started at 6. I spent the hours in between hiding in my office, ignoring the emails from coworkers, asking about various childhood photos. James sent me one with the subject line, "Is this you at Six Flags?" I didn't even open it. At 5:45, I reluctantly made my way to the conference room where the mixer was being held. The space had been transformed with string lights, a table full of appetizers, and a bar in the corner. Soft jazz played in the background, and about 30 people were already mingling. I grabbed a drink and found a corner to stand in, hoping to blend into the wallpaper. There he is, Mr. Hargrove called out, waving me over. Devin, come here. I want you to meet some of our biggest clients. I pasted on a smile and made my way over, shaking hands and making small talk. Everyone was friendly, professional. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Maybe Aunt Cheryl wouldn't actually show up. Maybe she'd realize she'd already done enough damage for one day. That's when the door opened and in walked Aunt Cheryl, still in her yellow dress and matching hat, carrying not one but 2 photo albums. Devin, baby. She rushed over and hugged me in front of everyone. I hope I'm not late. Traffic on 85 was terrible. Mr. Hargrove walked over with a warm smile. Mrs. Johnson, so glad you could make it. Can I get you something to drink? Oh, just some water would be fine. I don't drink alcohol. Makes me sleepy. She set the photo albums down on the nearest table and opened them up like she was hosting her own exhibition. Now, Mr. Hargrove, you said you wanted to see more pictures. Well, I brought my entire collection. This first album is from birth to age 5. The second one is ages 6 through 12. I have the teenage years in the car if you want those too. Auntie, I said through gritted teeth, maybe we should put these away. Nonsense. People want to see them. Look, that nice young lady over there is already coming over. It was Vanessa, and she was smiling like she'd just won the lottery. Mrs. Johnson, these are wonderful. You've really documented Devin's whole childhood. Oh, honey, I took pictures of everything. His first steps, his first day of school, his first time getting his hair cut. That was a disaster, by the way. He cried so loud the barber gave us a discount. A small crowd was gathering around the table now, and Aunt Cheryl was in her element, narrating each photo like she was hosting a documentary. This one is Devin at his elementary school talent show. He did a rap about doing your homework. It was adorable, but he forgot the words halfway through and just started beatboxing. James nearly spit out his drink. You rapped about homework? I was 8, I protested weakly. And this one, Aunt Cheryl continued, this is from his high school graduation. Look how skinny he was. We called him String Bean back then. Patricia was cackling. String Bean. Oh, that's perfect. I looked around for an exit, any exit, but I was trapped. Aunt Cheryl had turned my welcome mixer into a roast session, and everyone was enjoying themselves way too much. Rachel pointed at a photo. Is that you with a jheri curl? It was the 90s, I said defensively. Everyone had a jheri curl. Not in 2003, they didn't, James added. Even Vanessa was laughing now, and I couldn't decide if that made things better or worse. Oh, and this is one of my favorites, Aunt Cheryl said, pulling out a photo from the second album. This is Devin at his first job. He worked at Burger King when he was 16. He was so proud of that uniform. Mr. Hargrove leaned in closer. Burger King, huh? We all have to start somewhere. He was Employee of the Month 3 times, Aunt Cheryl said proudly. They even gave him a little crown to wear. Auntie, please. But she was on a roll now, and nothing was going to stop her. This one is from his college days at Howard. Look at him trying to grow a beard. Bless his heart, it came in all patchy. The crowd was getting bigger now. People were pulling up chairs, getting refills on their drinks, settling in like this was the night's entertainment. And this, Aunt Cheryl said, her voice getting softer, this is one of my favorites. This is Devin with his daddy at his high school basketball game. That was about 6 months before his daddy passed. The room got quiet. I walked over and looked at the photo. I remembered that night. We'd won the game by 2 points, and I'd scored the winning basket. My dad had been so proud he'd bought pizza for the whole team. Your father was a good man, Mr. Hargrove said quietly. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, sir. He was the best. Aunt Cheryl put her hand on mine. He'd be so proud of you right now, baby. Look at you, all grown up, working at this fancy company. You made it. And just like that, all my embarrassment melted away. Yeah, my aunt had shown my boss pictures of me in a jheri curl. Yeah, she told everyone about my patchy beard and my Burger King crown. But she'd also shown them where I came from, the people who loved me, the journey I'd been on. Thank you, Auntie, for everything. She kissed my cheek. You're welcome, baby. Now, who wants to see the pictures from his awkward phase? There's more? I asked. Honey, you had several awkward phases. We're going to need another hour. The rest of the night was actually kind of amazing. People came up to me, not to make fun, but to share their own embarrassing childhood stories. Patricia told us about her jheri curl disaster. James admitted he'd worked at White Castle and still had nightmares about the smell. Even Mr. Hargrove showed us a picture on his phone of him in the 80s with a high-top fade and parachute pants. Vanessa pulled me aside around 8 o'clock, holding 2 glasses of wine. Your aunt is something special. That's one way to put it. No, I mean it. In this world, especially in corporate America, we spend so much time trying to be perfect, trying to hide our past, trying to seem like we've always had it together. But your aunt just walked in here and said, this is who he is, this is where he came from, and we're proud of it. That's beautiful. I guess I never thought about it like that. Well, you should. Also, I think it's sweet that you used to rap about homework. I laughed. I was trying to make studying cool. Did it work? Not even a little bit. We talked for a while longer, and I realized something. Vanessa wasn't out of my league. Nobody was out of anybody's league when you stop pretending to be perfect and just let yourself be human. By 9 o'clock, the mixer was winding down. Aunt Cheryl had packed up her photo albums and was getting ready to leave. Thank you for coming, Auntie. Despite the initial panic, I'm glad you were here. I'm glad too, baby. These people needed to see the real you, not just the suit and the briefcase, but the person behind it all. Mr. Hargrove came over to say goodbye. Mrs. Johnson, it was a pleasure meeting you. You raised a fine young man. Oh, I can't take all the credit. His mama did most of the work. I just provided the embarrassing moments. Well, you did an excellent job at that too. They laughed, and Aunt Cheryl headed out, leaving me standing in the conference room with my new coworkers, feeling more accepted than I had all week. James walked over with a grin. Man, I got to say, your aunt is a legend. She's invited to every company event from now on. Please don't encourage her. Too late. Mr. Hargrove already did. Vanessa joined us, her wine glass almost empty. So, Devin, now that we know about your Burger King crown and your homework rap, what other secrets are you hiding? That's pretty much it. I'm an open book now, thanks to Aunt Cheryl. Good, she said, smiling in a way that made my heart skip. I like open books. I drove home that night feeling lighter than I had in years. Yeah, my aunt had embarrassed me in front of my new boss and coworkers. Yeah, everyone now knew about my jheri curl phase and my patchy beard. But they also knew I was real, that I came from a loving family, that I'd worked my way up from Burger King to a corner office, and somehow that made all the difference. I called Aunt Cheryl when I got home. Hey, Auntie, I just wanted to say thank you. For what, baby? For showing up today, for being proud of me, for not letting me forget where I came from. Oh, Devin, That's what family does. We show up, we embarrass you a little bit, and we remind you that no matter how far you go, you're still that little boy in the Superman cape who believed he could do anything. I love you, Auntie. I love you too, baby. Now get some rest. You got a big career ahead of you. The next week at work was different. People were friendlier, more relaxed around me. The photos became an inside joke instead of a source of embarrassment. James started calling me String Bean, but in an affectionate way. Patricia asked if I'd perform my homework rap at the next company talent show. Even Mr. Hargrove would occasionally reference the bathtub duck picture when he wanted to lighten the mood in meetings. But the biggest change was with Vanessa. We started having lunch together. First, just in the break room, then at actual restaurants. We'd talk about work, about life, about our families. She told me about growing up in Savannah with 3 brothers who never let her win at anything. I told her about my dad and how much I missed him, especially during moments like landing this job. One Friday afternoon, about 3 weeks after the mixer, she knocked on my office door. "Hey, Devin, you busy?" "Just reviewing the Phillips account. What's up?" "I was thinking, there's a jazz concert at Piedmont Park tomorrow night. Would you want to go? With me?" I tried to play it cool, but inside I was doing backflips. "Yeah, that sounds great. Cool, I'll text you the details." She started to leave, then turned back. "And Devin, you can wear your Superman cape if you want." I laughed. "I'll leave that at home." Good call. That night, I called my mama to tell her about the date. "Oh, baby, that's wonderful. What's her name?" "Vanessa. She's the VP of Client Relations." "She sounds important." "She is. She's also beautiful and smart and way out of my league." "Devin Wright, don't you start that. Nobody is out of your league. You hear me?" "Yes, ma'am." "And you know what? I bet if Aunt Cheryl hadn't shown up with those pictures, you'd still be too scared to even talk to this girl." She was right. Before Aunt Cheryl's visit, I'd been so focused on being perfect, on maintaining this professional image, that I'd forgotten how to just be myself. The photos had stripped away all that pretense and shown everyone, including Vanessa, who I really was. The concert was amazing. Vanessa and I sat on a blanket under the stars, listening to a local jazz quartet play classics and original pieces. We shared a bottle of wine and a box of crackers and cheese that she'd packed. "This is nice," she said, leaning back on her hands. "I don't get out enough. I'm always working." "Same here. It's good to remember there's life outside the office." "Your aunt seems to understand that. She told me at the mixer that family and memories are more important than any job." She's always been wise like that, sometimes annoyingly wise. Vanessa laughed. "I think it's sweet. My family isn't like that. We're more reserved, more focused on achievements than moments. There's value in both. Maybe, but I think I prefer your aunt's way. Life's too short to not celebrate the people you love." As the sun set and the music played, I realized my mama and Aunt Cheryl had been right all along. The photos, the embarrassment, all of it had been a gift. It had shown my coworkers that I was more than just a resume. It had shown Vanessa that I was someone worth getting to know. And it had shown me that being real, being vulnerable, being authentically yourself was always better than trying to be perfect. 3 months later, I was sitting in Mr. Hargrove's office for my first quarterly review. "Devin, I have to say, you've exceeded every expectation we had when we hired you. The Anderson campaign was brilliant. The Phillips account is thriving, and the team loves working with you." "Thank you, sir. That means a lot." "You know what I think made the difference? That first week when your aunt showed up, I saw a lot of young executives come through here, all trying to be something they're not, all trying to project this image of perfection. But you let us see the real you. The guy who wore a Superman cape and worked at Burger King and had a jheri curl in 2003. I laughed. "I wasn't trying to show you that. My aunt kind of forced the issue. Best thing that could have happened. You know why? Because now when you walk into a client meeting, you're not performing. You're just being Devon Wright. And Devin Wright is pretty damn good at his job." "I appreciate that, sir. How's your aunt doing, by the way?" "She's good. She's been asking when she can come visit again." Mr. Hargrove smiled. "Bring her by anytime. Just maybe give us a heads up next time she's bringing photo albums." I left his office feeling like I'd finally found my place. Not by hiding who I was, but by embracing it. That evening, I took Vanessa to dinner at this little soul food spot in West End. We'd been dating for 2 months now, and things were getting serious. The kind of serious where you start thinking about futures and family and forever. Over fried chicken and mac and cheese, I asked her something I'd been thinking about for weeks. What made you want to go out with me? Honestly. She put down her fork and smiled. You really want to know? Yeah. It was the photos. Not the embarrassing parts, though those were entertaining. It was seeing how your aunt looked at you, how proud she was. It made me realize you came from love, real love, and anyone who's loved like that knows how to love other people. That's deep. It's true. Plus, the homework rap thing was kind of cute. We laughed, and I reached across the table to hold her hand. I'm glad my aunt embarrassed me. Me too. 6 months after that first day at Hargrove & Associates, the company held its annual holiday party at a fancy hotel in Buckhead. Everyone was there, all dressed up, celebrating another successful year. I brought Aunt Cheryl as my guest, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Vanessa brought her mom, and the two of them hit it off immediately. At one point during the party, Mr. Hargrove called for everyone's attention. He gave a speech about the company's achievements, thanked everyone for their hard work, and then said something that caught me off guard. I want to take a moment to recognize someone special. Devin Wright joined us this year, and he's been nothing short of exceptional. But more than that, he reminded all of us about the importance of staying grounded, of remembering where we came from, of keeping family close. Everyone turned to look at me, and I felt my face getting hot. His aunt, Mrs. Cheryl Johnson, showed us that success isn't just about the corner office or the impressive title. It's about the journey, the people who supported you along the way, and never forgetting the little boy in the Superman cape who believed he could do anything. The room erupted in applause. Aunt Cheryl was crying happy tears, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. Vanessa squeezed my hand. My mama, who'd driven in from College Park, was beaming with pride. Later that night, after the party, I drove Aunt Cheryl back to her house in Decatur. That was something special tonight, baby. It was. Thank you for being there, always. You know, when I brought those pictures to your office, I didn't mean to embarrass you. I know, Auntie. I just wanted them to see you the way I see you, not as some corporate robot, but as a real person with a story. Well, it worked. Maybe a little too well. She laughed. Sometimes we need to be reminded that being perfect isn't the goal. Being real is. I walked her to her door and hugged her tight. I love you, Auntie. Thanks for not letting me forget who I am. I love you too, baby. And don't worry, I'm already putting together a photo album for when you and Vanessa get married. Auntie, we've only been dating 6 months. I know love when I see it. Trust me, you'll need those pictures for the wedding. As I drove home that night, I thought about everything that had happened since that first day at Hargrove & Associates. How terrified I'd been of failing, of not measuring up, of being exposed as somehow not good enough. But Aunt Cheryl had shown me that my story, my journey, my past wasn't something to hide. It was something to celebrate. The Burger King crown, the homework wrap, the jheri curl, the Superman cape, all of it had made me who I was. And who I was exactly who I was supposed to be. A year later, I proposed to Vanessa at Piedmont Park, on the same spot where we'd had our first date. She said yes before I even finished asking the question. We got married 6 months after that, and yes, Aunt Cheryl brought photo albums to the reception, but this time, I didn't mind. I even helped her set up a whole table dedicated to embarrassing photos from both our families. During the reception, Mr. Hargrove gave a toast. I've known Devon for almost 2 years now, and I can honestly say he's one of the finest people I've ever worked with. Not just because he's talented, though he certainly is, but because he's real. He's authentic. He's exactly who he appears to be, and that's rarer than you might think. He raised his glass. To Devin and Vanessa, may your marriage be filled with love, laughter, and just enough embarrassing photos to keep things interesting. Everyone laughed and raised their glasses. Later, during the father-daughter dance, since my dad wasn't there, I danced with Aunt Cheryl instead. As we swayed to Luther Vandross, she whispered in my ear, "Your daddy would be so proud of you." I hope so. I know so. You became the man he always knew you could be, and you did it by staying true to yourself. I learned that from you, Auntie. Good. Now don't step on my feet. I saw what happened to your prom date. We both laughed, and I held her a little tighter. As I looked around the room at all the people I loved, at Vanessa dancing with her father, at my mama crying happy tears, at James and Patricia doing the electric slide, at Mr. Hargrove attempting to do the wobble, I realized something profound. Success wasn't about hiding your past or pretending to be someone you weren't. Success was about embracing every part of your journey, the good and the embarrassing, and letting it shape you into someone real, someone genuine, someone who could connect with other people on a human level. Aunt Cheryl had taught me that lesson in the most embarrassing way possible, but she taught me nonetheless, and for that, I would be forever grateful. The Monday after the wedding, I returned to work with a new perspective. I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. I wasn't worried about maintaining some perfect image. I was just Devin Wright, the guy who used to wear a Superman cape and work at Burger King and rap about homework. And that guy was doing just fine. Vanessa and I settled into married life in a little house in East Point. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. We'd have dinner with Aunt Cheryl every Sunday, and she'd always have new stories about me to share with Vanessa. Did I ever tell you about the time Devin tried to give himself a haircut and ended up bald on one side? Auntie, please. Or the time he entered a talent show doing magic tricks and accidentally set his cape on fire. That was one time. Or the time he... Okay. I think Vanessa has heard enough stories for one night. But Vanessa would just laugh and encourage Aunt Cheryl to keep going. She loved hearing about my past, about the journey that led me to her. 5 years after I started at Hargrove and Associates, Mr. Hargrove called me into his office. Devin, I'm retiring next year. Sir? I'm 73 years old. It's time. And I want you to know you're at the top of my list for who should take over. I sat down, stunned. Mr. Hargrove, I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. I know it's a big decision, but you've earned this. You're a natural leader, the team respects you, and most importantly, you understand that this business is about more than just marketing. It's about people, relationships, authenticity. When do you need an answer? Take your time. Talk to Vanessa. Talk to your family. This is a decision that affects everyone. That night, I sat with Vanessa on our back porch, watching the sunset. He offered me the company. I know. He called me this afternoon to make sure I was okay with it. What did you say? I said you'd be an idiot not to take it. I laughed. It's a lot of responsibility. You can handle it. You've been handling it. You're just doing it with an official title now. What about us? What about starting a family? We'd been talking about kids, about expanding our little family. We can do both. I have faith in you. Besides, you're going to need those skills from raising kids when you're managing that office. You think so? Baby, you've been managing personalities and egos since day one. A crying toddler will be easy compared to dealing with James when he doesn't get his way. We both laughed, and I pulled her close. I love you, you know that? I love you too. Now call your aunt and tell her the news. You know she's going to want to throw you a party. I called Aunt Cheryl, and just as Vanessa predicted, she immediately started planning a celebration. Oh, Devin, baby, CEO of Hargrove and Associates. Your daddy would be beside himself with pride. I haven't accepted yet, Auntie. Why not? I want to make sure I'm ready. Baby, you were born ready. You just needed time to believe it yourself. What if I mess it up? Then you'll learn from it and do better. That's what life is about. Not being perfect, but being willing to try, to fail, to grow. When did you get so wise? I've always been this wise. You just weren't always ready to listen. I took the job. A year later, at 39 years old, I became CEO of Hargrove and Associates. My first official act was to create a mentorship program for young professionals from underserved communities, kids who came from where I came from, who needed to know that their past didn't determine their future. My second official act was to hang one of Aunt Cheryl's photos in my new office. Not the bathtub one, thank God, but the one of me and my dad at that basketball game. I wanted to remember where I came from, who I was playing for. On my first day as CEO, Aunt Cheryl showed up with, you guessed it, more photos. Auntie, you can't keep doing this. Why not? It worked last time. She had a point. This time, the photos were different though. They were recent ones. From my wedding, from Sunday dinners, from holidays with Vanessa's family, photos of the life I'd built, the family I'd chosen, the love I'd found. I wanted your employees to see that you're still the same Devin, she explained. The corner office and the fancy title haven't changed who you are at your core. She set up a small photo display in the break room. Pictures of me and Vanessa, me and Mama, me and Aunt Cheryl at various family events. And yes, one picture of me in my Superman cape, just to remind everyone where I'd started. The staff loved it. They'd walk by throughout the day, looking at the photos, asking questions about my family. It became a conversation starter, a way to connect with people on a personal level. James, who was now senior VP, stood looking at the photos with a smile. You know what's wild? 5 years ago, you would have died if someone saw these. Now you're the one putting them up. I learned something, man. The more you try to hide who you are, the harder it is to really connect with people. But when you let them see the real you, magic happens. That's deep, String Bean. Don't start. But I was smiling. The nickname didn't bother me anymore. Nothing did. I'd learned to embrace every part of my story, even the parts that weren't perfect. A few months into my tenure as CEO, we landed the biggest account in company history. A national campaign for a major tech company worth millions. It was the kind of account that could set up the firm for decades. During the celebration dinner, the client's CEO pulled me aside. Can I ask you something, Devin? Of course. Why us? There were bigger firms, more established companies. Why did you pursue this account so aggressively? Honestly, because your company's mission statement reminded me of something my aunt always said. Stay true to who you are, and the right people will find you. Your company innovates without losing sight of human connection. That's what we do at Hargrove and Associates. He smiled. Your aunt sounds like a wise woman. She's the wisest person I know. She taught me that authenticity is the most valuable asset you can have, in business and in life. I'd like to meet her sometime. Trust me, she'd love that. Just be warned, she'll probably bring photos. He laughed. I look forward to it. True to form, Aunt Cheryl showed up to the client appreciation dinner with a small photo album. But this time, instead of embarrassing me, it became a talking point. The client loved hearing about my journey, about the kid who worked at Burger King and now ran a major marketing firm. This is what I'm talking about, the client's CEO said. Real people, real stories. That's what connects with audiences. That's what we want in our campaigns. Aunt Cheryl beamed. See, baby? I told you those photos would come in handy. Vanessa and I had our first child 2 years later. A little girl we named Cheryl, after my aunt. When we brought baby Cheryl home from the hospital, Aunt Cheryl was there with, naturally, a camera. Oh no, I said, laughing. Here we go again. Baby, I got to document this. One day, when little Cheryl is grown, she's going to want to see these. And you're going to show them to her boss only if she needs a reminder of where she came from. We all laughed, and I realized the cycle was continuing. Aunt Cheryl would embarrass my daughter the same way she'd embarrassed me. And honestly, I was okay with that. Because those photos, those stories, those embarrassing moments were more than just memories. They were lessons in staying humble, staying grounded, staying real. As I held my daughter in my arms, with Vanessa beside me and Aunt Cheryl snapping photos, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From that first terrifying day at Hargrove and Associates to becoming CEO, from being embarrassed by childhood photos to understanding their value, from trying to be perfect to embracing being human, and I thought about the lesson Aunt Cheryl had taught me, the lesson that had changed everything. You can't run from your past. You can't hide who you are, and you shouldn't try to, because your story, with all its imperfections and embarrassing moments, is what makes you real. And being real is what allows you to truly connect with other people. It's what allows you to love and be loved. It's what allows you to succeed, not despite who you are, but because of it. Years later, when little Cheryl was 5 years old, she found one of the old photo albums in Aunt Cheryl's attic. Daddy, is this you? I looked at the photo. It was me in my Superman cape, standing on the front steps of our old house, arms raised like I was about to take flight. Yeah, baby, that's me. You look funny, I know, but I was happy. I believed I could do anything. Can you still do anything? I picked her up and held her close. With your mama, your grandma, and your great Aunt Cheryl in my corner, I can do anything, even fly. even fly. She giggled, and I spun her around, her laughter filling the room. Aunt Cheryl, now in her late 70s, watched us with tears in her eyes. You turned out pretty good, Devin, right? I had good teachers. Remember when you were so mad at me for showing those photos to your boss? Oh, I remember. I wanted to die. But look what happened. You stopped trying to be perfect and started being yourself. And being yourself got you everything you have now. She was right. Being myself had gotten me Vanessa. It had gotten me the respect of my colleagues. It had gotten me the CEO position. It had gotten me a life I was proud of. Thank you, Auntie, for everything. Thank me by passing those lessons on to this little one. I looked at my daughter, at her bright eyes, an infectious smile. I will, I promise. And I did. I taught her that success isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. I taught her that your past isn't something to hide. It's something to learn from. I taught her that family, real family, will embarrass you sometimes, but they'll also be there when it matters most. I taught her that the people who love you will see you at your worst and love you anyway. And I taught her that sometimes the most embarrassing moments become the most important ones. Because if Aunt Cheryl hadn't shown my boss those photos, I might still be trying to be someone I'm not. I might still be hiding behind a perfect facade, too scared to let anyone see the real me. But she did show those photos. And in doing so, she gave me permission to be human, to be imperfect, to be real. And being real changed everything. Now, whenever I walk into my office at Hargrove and Associates, I see that photo of me and my dad at the basketball game. I see the Superman cape picture that Aunt Cheryl hung up all those years ago. I see the photos of my family, my journey, my story, and I smile. Because I'm not CEO Devin Wright, the perfect executive with no flaws. I'm Devin Wright, the kid who wore a Superman cape, who worked at Burger King, who had a jheri curl in 2003, who stepped on his prom date's foot, who rapped about homework. I'm Devin Wright, the man who learned that embracing your story, all of it, is the key to everything. And I'm Devin Wright, the husband, father, nephew, and friend who knows that the people who really matter will love you not in spite of your flaws, but because your flaws make you who you are. That's the moral of this story. That's the lesson Aunt Cheryl taught me when she showed my childhood photos to my new boss. Be yourself, tell your story, embrace your journey. Because your imperfections aren't weaknesses. They're proof that you're human. And being human is the greatest strength of all. Like this video if it touched something in you. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about what it means to be human, to be family, and to choose love, even when it's complicated. I'll see you next time.